morning. How are you? We're doing it. I feel like I kind of pulled a Karen a little bit, or right as I was getting in the door here. Well, I don't know. I felt there was a dude outside my apartment, and he's like in a white vehicle. And I'm like somewhat intuitive, but we don't always trust ourselves, especially in these circumstances. So I'm sitting there thinking, this is weird. So then I kind of mug him because I get this vibe that he's agitated and he's waiting on someone and he shouldn't be there. Those were the three things I got. And I didn't feel like it was drug related. I felt he's like waiting on someone he's angry at. So I I never do this. But I called the non-emergency. Like I was like, let's just check on that. Like I got to go in here for this podcast. I'm not going to go put my life in danger. But I got this feeling that like I don't know. I thought you were doing something out of line. That's how I felt. And then as I'm hanging up, I'm thinking, whether that's a Karen move or not, there could be a female who would prefer that he not be out there.
Well, that's exactly right. And sometimes we have to go obviously with what we know, our instincts, our intuition. Are they one and the same? Yeah, oftentimes they blend right in together. And you've got a weird vibe, so pulling a Karen is a good choice, right?
Well, and I thought, if I'm wrong to that man, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry that you were just living your life, that you were just doing your life the way it was. But I also believe in the statement of it's like that statistic where it's like if enough or everyone just assumes that someone else is going to take care of it, so no one does really much.
Nobody does anything. Better to pull a Karen than a Rambo, right?
You're right. Yeah, I could. It's so funny because you know me,
parking garage,
and you thought you're not wrong. But the version you were anticipating was about 3 years ago.
I'm not surprised. When you said that, I was like, I think it's more than a Karen. Let's see where we're going here. I'm a little
I was good.
I was good. Side of this. Good. Totally get it. Oh my gosh, my hair looks terrible today. Okay, listeners.
You say that, but every time I edit, your hair looks so beautiful. And it's that room and the light and the way it hits.
And my dirty desk, it's all just kind of blended right in.
What I think we also don't realize until we go and play it back is these cameras will never record to any real clarity for us. We're always looking at the worst iteration of it. So I noticed that too. I was like, man, when I talk with you, to me, I feel like we both look relatively grainy and kind of bland. And then when we edit, your hair looks amazing. My hair looks good. Like none of this looks the same.
Wow. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited with that. Good. That's good news.
But anywho,
I'm in a weird mood today, just for the record.
Yeah.
I think that's going to benefit everyone, it feels like. I'm maybe not so much. We'll see.
Well, what are you feeling?
Well, it's interesting because I feel that I know that we've mentioned before, getting Ibrutus to come a bit more forward, and he's already kind of jumped into the driver's seat. And I'm like, okay, it's like, slow down, Ibrutus, slow down.
That's funny.
It is funny because it's like he's great. I'm prepared. I've been prepared.
Well, what's so funny is so I don't know if this is true. This was a feeling. I woke up this morning, my cat's meowing for food. I promised I would stop getting upset about that. This morning I got very upset about it. And so I'm over here, he knocks my lamp over. I'm rolling over like if I can just fall asleep for like 10 more minutes, I can forget all of that just happened and I can love my cat again.
Absolutely.
And then out of nowhere, it was almost like cold water. And I opened up my notes and I started writing questions. And I almost just was like, who's wanting these questions to ask? Because I want to go back to sleep. I'm mad at my cat right now. And I had forgotten that was even really on our agenda.
Oh, how funny.
So I can't help but wonder, like, do you think he's like, it's my day?
Well, I know that, he's got a bit of an accent. And so when he comes through, sometimes he comes through quite heavily. And he's, and first let's get a disclaimer out there for all of the public. No, I don't have schizophrenia. No. Nor does he, by the way.
Well, do you know what's kind of funny about that is the tide has changed to now where so many people that we know, I believe are not channeling other than really their personal opinions and their feelings, which is, you know what it
Yes.
is.
Oh,
So I
I've
think
seen that
even
a
the
time or
time.
two.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I was interrupting. I was saying I've seen that a time or two.
Yes. You know, and so it's not even there's not the stigma is not in our community. No one's looking at you like you're crazy. I think people are more impressed and sometimes more than they should be with people doing that. Whereas
Well,
you never do it and you never do it publicly as far as channel.
very rarely.
You don't ever do it and then but you're actually in tune and capable, but whatever. We won't.
Well, it's interesting that you said it that way because I had a reading over the weekend. She's a we'll say it simply. She's a delight. I guess that's a nice way to put it, objectively. And so, I have a client I see about once a year, perhaps twice a year, and she can keep me going on a text message like nobody else. I
Oh.
mean, 45 messages later to figure out we're going to talk for 15 minutes. It's
Oh.
exciting. But anyway, I completely channeled, and it was so incredible because it was a combination of Ibrutus and then the physician that I channel is all a medical question. And of course, I'm not a medical doctor. I am a medical empath. There's a huge difference. Always go see your medical team. But the whole thing in the end, she said, "Where'd that come from?"
I love
I'm like,
that.
I said, "You've got me." no, I said that's from my team. I
Wh-
said you can accept it, project it. Always go to your medical doctor when you don't feel well. But here I am. If you want an opinion, there you are, right?
There we are. Well, and it might be we've talked about this in previous episodes, but just for those that haven't new listeners or old ones that don't remember, I think we've talked about this, but you're a very unique practitioner and individual from the perspective of you have guides that are more in a private state, more concerned with you as a human being, but then you also have these guides that are significantly there to work with you in the work for others.
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
And
very,
that's
very
not, you
different.
can't read that anywhere. You can't, that's a very authentic thing that you either feel and can experience the difference, right?
Well, and it's actually quite remarkable to me. At first, it was a little off-putting because I do have three energies that don't work with me, and one is a professor, a philosopher, and a medical doctor. And these three gentlemen have been with me for quite some time, especially since I have been working as a private practitioner. I have had quite an opportunity to work with them. And what happens is they will come in and they will put in their comments, their thoughts in the matter. They all sit around a small table, a table that I energetically gave to them, and they were happy to accept it. I'm sorry to say it is a small chocolate shop table.
I love that.
I couldn't think of something. When they showed up, let me backtrack. When they showed up originally, I was a little taken back because there's three of them, and they're very tall. They remind me of Jack the Bones from Nightmare Before Christmas, except I can't see their bones. They do have flesh, but they're elderly, tall, very tall, thin gentlemen, and they would probably not be my first go to had a selection of in choice.
Why so?
So, well, because I was a little intimidated when
Ah,
three of them came, meandering in, 6'2" plus, and I'm like, oh gosh, where'd you come from, and are you staying? And so,
great question. Oh my gosh, you would probably just be like, who, what, when, where, why?
well, I was, and they started chatting with me. I remember particularly there was an elderly woman. She has passed on. She every now and then comes to visit me. She
Oh,
likes to wake me up. I don't know why she does that early morning. I think she hated mornings. I know she did, but she seems to like to kind of tap on my shoulder in the morning. And I always say, "Hello, my friend Glenda." Glenda was a wonderful woman, but she only wanted to talk to them.
oh,
She didn't want to talk to me at all. It's really
weird.
you have to get to a place where you're willing to accept that. She would come see me. She was a wonderful, she very opinionated type of woman. She in her 86 years she earned it, and she would say, I like you, Terry, but I don't want to talk to you. You're not why I'm here. Where's the good doctor?" And
Wait, so
so
she's not a guide?
no, I'm sorry, I know I'm all over the place.
Oh,
My
you're
Brutus, you
great.
better get your script down here. He's like, whoa, let's do this.
I love
No,
that.
but anyway, back to this. No, she was of the flesh and blood.
Oh, and
She was a client. She's the one that really started bringing out this energy. I
oh,
had these three gentlemen, and they came in, and so they wouldn't be so intimidating. I did put them around a little round chocolate shop table. That's where they stay in my energy when they work with me. So I know I'm scattered all over the place. That's what happens when your guides talk for you.
I love it though. I mean, that's how it is. We do kind of just get a little glass-eyed
Yes,
almost.
almost yes. But she would always ask for the good doctor, and that's the way she would word it. I need the good doctor.
Oh,
And he would say profound things to her, and of course, it always preface it with being a medical empath, not a medical doctor. But she always wanted to speak to him, and they actually, I know this sounds bizarre, but they developed and forged a very deep friendship. My guide, the doctor, and my human client, my physical on earth client, elderly woman.
how unique.
It was very different. It was extremely different. She, in fact, this makes me a bit teary eyed. But when she was in the hospital and she passed in the hospital, and the last time I talked to her was less than 48 hours before she passed, and she said, "I just need the good doctor to talk to me."
Oh,
And so the good doctor reassured her that she was safe and she was going home. And it kind of unsettled me, and I thought, oh my gosh, her family's going to come after me with some type of lawsuits or something. Something's going to go sideways because they didn't really like all this stuff that she was into.
mm-hmm.
And so I kind of waited to hear from her, and I knew after a few days when I didn't that she had passed, and that she had, and I checked.
And then now she's like, "Excuse me."
Now she taps on my
Yeah.
shoulders. So I don't know if she's found the good doctor, now she's interested in talking to me, but
That
she
is
just
so
wanted
funny.
some
That's a great
comforts.
point too. Whenever she's like, imagine, we all have those friends. There's no villains in this, but the one who's like out of nowhere, they're like, "Hey Terry, long time no see." Da da da. So where's so and so? And you're like, "Okay." She's like, "Hi Terry, I made it to the other side. So like, where is he?"
Well, and that's yes, you'd be amazed when that happens in some of the most unique ways. I have people that really, no, 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 I don't have anything to ask you. I have no questions, no, nothing. Don't worry about a thing. Not at all. I've been not sleeping well. I wonder what that is.
Exactly.
And you're like, you're trying to reach to my team without me, or what are you doing
That's
here?
so
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Well,
fascinating.
so I guess we'll also introduce. So Ibrutus is who we would consider your
He's,
main guide, your gatekeeper guide.
he's
If you
my
don't know what that
gatekeeper.
means, episode 2, we break down a lot of our belief system around the guides and how the guides function. But
Right.
now we're going to get a little personal.
Oh my, here we go. Well, first and foremost, I recognize this sounds a little strange. So if you're just tuning in, keep in mind that we're both very, hopefully bright individuals with good heads on our shoulders. We're not schizophrenic. We don't have any medical diagnoses
No,
running around
not
behind
yet.
us.
I'm just kidding.
Not yet. We're working towards it. Probably.
There's time.
There's time. We're working on it. But I can speak freely about my experiences with teams, and guides. I grew up in a very lonely environment, so I was not allowed to talk to people. So I did a lot of what we would refer to in today's world as telepathic communication. And so it didn't mean just because I was very lonely that I was alone, and I recognized that soon into this. And I had many different energies that come to me, but Ibrutus has been around since the beginning of me that I'm fully aware of. He didn't present himself as so close as he has as an adult, and I believe he did that as actually probably to preserve me, knowing that if all of a sudden I looked at Ibrutus as, okay, go get him, go punish him, that it would have gone into my
Interesting.
free will, and it would have affected my probably my outcome. So he was very much around me, but he was not interfering nor intervening. He was just being my friend and kind of hanging out with me. And so that started very young. And then when I pulled away from metaphysics for a bit, I didn't want anything to do with Ibrutus or anybody else because I needed to know what the rest of the world was up to. Coming out of my shell, moving out of New York, I had to see what the rest of the world thought.
I just heard new school, new friends.
Yes, makes
Almost like you
perfect
switched high
sense.
schools or something.
Makes perfect sense. And, and that worked for a bit, not very long. And Ibrutus is as you can tell, he's kind of merged in my energy. I do have Ibrutus, who's very close to me right now, always. But I mean, literally is like, okay, my turn. You are talking already. Um, so he is my gatekeeper. Ibrutus is my best friend in the spirit world. I also have Enoch as a protector. He is from the Christian Bible. I didn't know who he was. I was raised Catholic, but I was too busy staying alive to go too far into what the Bible had to say. And so Enoch came to me. He's a very straightforward. He says, "I'm the man. I'm not. Megatron. I am the man. He's the only man that went to heaven without dying." And so he also is there with me. He's my protector. He stays more further back. He doesn't really communicate with me unless he needs to, and that's not very often. Which his energy is so strong to me, it doesn't match me very well. So he is still very important. I have to give him a shout out, but he is not so much just right here. Okay. So if we're formulating a plan of thought here, we've got Ibrutus. Oftentimes Ibrutus comes to me as I'm sitting in my office where I am. He'll usually come to me on my left. I see that my guides for my clients, my three, usually come to me on the right, and Enoch steps more to the back. I have two wolves that are more in the front. One faces to the east, one faces to the west, and they usually protect me. They're also my team of protectors.
Oh my gosh. It just clicked. I mean, I don't know that I ever put two and two together, but that Enoch is in the role of your protector guide. I did not realize that. I mean, you wouldn't know this, but probably over the past 3 weeks, there's just been a deep dive into ancient texts for me because there's a lot of truth before a lot of other things were written.
Right.
And this individual predates so much and brought forward so much and reseeded so much. And it's not, I mean, it speaks to some things about you that are profound, because I don't believe that energy like that would be, well, we've spoken about the earth angel thing with you. So that's,
I know. And just one little thing about Earth Angels. Everybody wants to climb on board the Earth Angel team. Let's print the T-shirts. Let's get the the paraphernalia. But the bottom line, Earth Angels typically have a very rough life, an earthbound life. So I do want to.
And it has to be that way. It seems almost like
it does. And I know I'm going to get pushback because I know several of my dear people disagree with that. But I've never met an Earth Angel that hasn't had a lot of issues, a lot of deep past issues.
Well, you said the other day, and it'll post it. I mean, it's not out yet, but you said just something in passing. Like, I always laugh because you just say the most profound things in passing, and then we just move on. I'm like, how did that just get slipped in? But you made this great comment, and you said, well, talking about guides, well, they have to be a lot like us to help us do what we need to do. And I know that you had said that before, but for some reason it just kind of hit again, because it's like, yeah, they have to identify with jealousy. They have to identify with abject rage.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Otherwise they're going to look at us so parentally that now we won't really, I mean, yeah, that's a whole different, but anywho, wow, I love that for you.
That's a good point. You're absolutely right. They have to have enough.
It's your point. I love you, but thank you.
Well, you rehashed it in such a nice way, so it makes it now your point.
Yeah, I'll take it.
And I love it. And before, and I don't know if this is Ibrutus coming through right now. It probably is. One thing I can tell you about Ibrutus is he's a character. He's like me in a lot of ways when it comes to his zany sense of humor. He's very playful. He doesn't have a lot of filters, but he's got something that we kind of like have in common, and it kind of ramps up when he's talking and with me and through me. Is this deep need to share with the population how important they are. And I know that's a very emotional and odd thing, but If you could, and I know very much, Sterling, you feel this way, even with affairs.
Mm-hmm.
We see every sort of person, every personality type, structure, and we know that some of you are just, probably on the other side of the room, not being your best self. We'll put it that way. There's a lot of different personalities out there. Some of you are angels, some of you are are not. We'll put it that way. But each and every one of you is so loved. And when they're there, I mean, oh my gosh, it's like you want to just rain conditional love over each and every one of them, because you're never as close to humanity's pain as you are when you're working with humanity.
Well, and that's a beautiful thing of feeling, because you do we do recognize that it's like every time you look at somebody and you see in their energy just like earth-shattering pain, and it's stuck, like it's not moving, like people
Yes.
are not able to process it, they're not moving forward, then from a
Yes.
spiritual perspective, you're understanding, because you have this God's eye view of like how these battles are not that big, or these things are not as deep as they feel, and then you have to look at these people and watch them tear their hearts out of their own body to try and
Yes.
navigate. Like, I think that I always joke about saying if I would be a guide, it'd be so frustrating. I actually think I jokingly say that, but I think if I were a guide, I think it would be heartbreaking,
In many ways, yes.
because you
It
cannot
is
be
hard.
heard, or you can't. It's so hard to be heard. And as people get more and more stuck, they walk further and further away from being able to hear.
And I agree with that. I had an interesting happening this weekend, and I'm still mulling through it. It started, and it kind of made me very sad, because I was looking forward to a really, kind of like no drama kind of Saturday night and Sunday. And I have a friend who let me say, all my clients are dear and near to me. That there are different levels of friendships in that. Obviously, I can't all go out and eat with you, all 200 of you every week. Please understand. Sounds like a great plan, but I would not make it. I wouldn't be able to do that, and I'd be 500 pounds. So, but I have someone that I've worked with for some time, and he started attacking me by text messages. And there were, and I say attack, I'm sure it could have been perceived maybe not as severe as that, but it was basically, you know, why aren't you standing up for me? Why are you, are you going to use this against me? It was about friendships. And the entire time, as much as I feel the unconditional love, I also have the Terry in me that's like, why the hell you bothered me right now?
Yeah, right.
But what I realized, and this is the truthism of what we do. I have not been prompted by my guides to go in there and save this person.
Mm.
I have not been prompted by my guides to go in there and say X marks the spot. You've got to realize that you create these dramas yourself. I'm not going to go in and say, oh, I'm going to validate you, because I can't validate you.
Mm.
But I'm not going to rip you apart either. I'm not going to say you are wrong, 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 nor am I saying you are right, right, because you're not in a situation where you're prepared to deal with it. It's either side.
Dang.
So this person pretty much doesn't want anything more to do with me. So I have another spot left open if anyone wants to be my friend.
Exactly.
I'm just kidding.
Right.
I'm kidding.
Meanwhile, last episode we're like, we're both bad friends.
We're bad friends. But but what I recognize is that there really is a season and a reason for each of you as well.
Yeah.
There's a time for you to grow and know, and there's a time for you just to stoop. There's a time for you to sit in your own juices to figure out what you want and what you don't want. And we can't just go in there and change the recipe. Because if we do that, we're not helping you. And sometimes that's what people want us to do, is to rewrite the dinner plans so that they feel better. But the truthism is we can't change you if you are not ready in a position to have that change come.
You're so right in all the ways, and that's the maturity that I think maybe you have, because as you know, recently I did get more verbal and terminate something, and it does, there's not regret to it, but it's not as personal as the distance has continued, the space. And
That's
I
right.
think if I had, I think the termination is still appropriate,
Yep.
but like, you've taught me sometimes, like, you don't have to be part of their lesson. And I really wanted to. So I was. And
Right.
I don't know I think that's the Sterling, that's the human in me.
Well, we all have that still, as long as our
Yes.
feet touch the ground, right?
That's so true. You're so true. That's so right. Yeah, like I still get pissed, it's
Yeah.
but
Well, yeah.
that's the difference of the guide work. That can, you know, but in the situation with Ibrutus's arrival and his closeness with you,
Yes.
you know, does he ever, just in a kind of a way that it could occur, jump into the conversation of the other three when he's like, oh, but
Well,
this,
it's interesting. He doesn't.
oh, interesting.
He waits for them to. It's very curious to me because he waits for them to stop, and I can feel it when they start talking. He's just kind of going, "Okay, well, I'm here for you anyway, so here I am." He lets them do their thing, and then when they're done, then he goes back to having something to say.
What's funny, I just heard they're the professionals.
And it may be of that nature
Oh
because of
my
their
god.
qualifications. But he lets them talk that through. That makes sense. I hadn't thought of it from that perspective.
Which then
But
means that there's a job for that.
there is a job for that. There would be a need for that. So
Oh my
again, we
god, of
recognize
course.
seasons and reasons come for specialties. They come to help through certain issues because they have more experience with it. So these three, you're right, they could be considered the authorities.
That's so can you imagine, like, I'm just getting playful with the thought of, like, you have your guide, we have our guides, and they to us are quite high authority. Like, I mean, they're very wise and certainly try to do their best to keep us in alignment, which I appreciate and love. But
Yes.
imagine just being like, the big dogs are over there. Like, like what
Well,
should they have done in guides as guide work? Like, the curiosity becomes like, to be a professional guide, would you have
mhm.
to be like Enoch's guide in the earth when he was here physically? And then that is just like like, that's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool. It makes you wonder. I Brutus, you are being silly. He's being so silly. I've got it. I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to
Well,
step
let's
over you.
talk. Let's let him
Okay, okay.
not
Well,
be antsy.
okay. This is what he's just said to me. Okay, and he's just going. So, am I getting my turn? When's my turn? How's my turn? Did you see my legs? Look how hairy they are. How come people don't wear dresses there? Or men should wear dresses. They don't like my kilt. Why do they like my kilt? Oh, look at my legs. I'm like, stop it. So let me give you a bit of an understanding of yeah, now I can feel it. He's like, boy, here we go.
That's so
Now,
funny.
first and foremost, if I don't want to talk to Brutus understands that I'm not going to let him speak through me. Sometimes Brutus comes through and he's just so excited he does, and I couldn't care less, and I'm happy to oblige. But other times I'm like, no, oh, no. And he knows that today is kind of like his birthday party. It's kind of like his
That's so
I'm the
cute.
boss. He likes it. He knows it. So if you want to know a little bit about you are a good looker. I know you are. He just he's a very grounded family man, and was in his lifetime. He looks a little bit. I'm going to give you an example for all those people out there. That he's a bit of a heartthrob. Of course, I'm married, so he's my guide, and that's it. He looks a little bit of a cross between Mel Gibson and Russell Crowe.
That's so funny because those are two of my favorite actors, and he was in Braveheart and The Gladiator.
Yep.
And
And I can't watch those shows
that's
because
so funny.
actually Brian and my son, my husband and my son have been watching those, and I was like, I had to step away. I'm like, oh my God, Brutus, that looks just like you. I can't do this. And he said, well, let's go sit outside.
Oh,
So we did. I couldn't
does
watch it.
he enjoy media of that, or he's just like, oh, I live that?
He
Yeah,
doesn't.
yeah.
And I could feel that, and so it makes me uncomfortable because, again, there is such a connection, not only for him but for me. Again, we're perfectly matched when it comes to working together on a lot of levels, and so those shows are very difficult for me because I'm just it's too familiar,
Hmm.
as it is for Brutus. But he's also a family man. He originated. He is obviously from Scotland. That's why he's wearing his lovely kilt that he's always sharing with me. Look at my kilt. Do you like my kilt today? And he's just being silly. He's just trying to get me from being either sleepy-eyed or cranky, and getting some attention.
Yes.
He lived, that kind of in the just kind of in, I hear, like, the foothills. He is from Scotland. He thatched his own roof. He's very proud of that. He did have a daughter and he did have a wife, and they were taken from him. He was brought to death upon, much like the gladiators of the time. He was put to death because he was not he wasn't a violent man. But when you have the choice to live or to die, you have to choose. And if you have a family at home, you're going to choose to live. And he did. And then his wife and son were punished as well. So there is, I'm sure, some sadness, and I could feel his energy go, why are we doing this?
No,
So we're going to step, he does exhibit human qualities too. Yes, he obviously lived on this earth at one point in time. Not all guides do, but Ibrutus.
Wait, I didn't know that. Not all guides do?
No.
Okay. Oh, you mean like, yeah. Like, yes. I'm sorry.
Not all guides walk the earthly walk. I can't understand the dynamics of that, because it's hard. I would think that if you are not from this planet, say for instance, you might think that it's normal to go, I don't know, eat eat the mud out of the driveway with the spoon, because you wouldn't know the difference. But somehow they do. They know the difference, or I don't know, maybe they don't. But I do know that not all guides have been on this earth.
Mhm.
Obviously, the experience of being earthbound helps to be, in that realm, I'm sure. But Ibrutus is just very, very friendly. He's flirtatious, but he means no harm. And when we're in a group of women, and it's for a time, he would mention them. And so we had to talk about that independent of the groups, because he would go, "Oh, look at all the good lookers."
Oh my goodness.
Because he tends to get a little bit vocal about that. And again, he's not lewd, he's not crude. He's
excitable.
He's excited. He's very helpful. He chats, he talks. He sometimes is a bit like me. He's annoying.
I don't think you're annoying.
Well, I know sometimes I'm quite annoying. At least I'm hearing that. So you're going to hear me fade back and forth. Not all guides. When you channel them, will give you their dialect. Some will not do that at all. So if you hear channels that do not change their dialect and they are still much themselves, doesn't mean they're not channeling. It simply means that they are using their own vocal cords, voice box, to create it. Ibrutus likes his language. He likes his accent. I like his accent. And so here we are.
Well, thank you. And again, I'm not in the readings. You know how we always get like, what does Ibrutus think? It's like, I don't mind if it's you, if it's like, I'm not here to. This isn't a dance for me, like. but I love his availability to come out with us and to kind of have this experience, especially because we don't. I can't imagine that there's a lot of times that they get individually celebrated.
Well, that's a good point. I agree, they don't. Ibrutus just said to me, he goes, are you still upset with me for going home with one of your he calls them, he doesn't always call them clients, he calls them customers.
I know exactly what you're referring to as well. That's so funny.
Yeah. And I'm not. I was a little taken back. But again, if everyone believes in God, it's not like he went home with your sister-in-law and now you can't have them.
Right.
So,
well, and I guess that would be one of the questions I would have to kick it off is how frequently among his peers, among guides in general, is there a kind of an inappropriate relationship attempted to be built with them?
Well, let's find out. There, now that I love this little cup. Isn't that cute?
It is very cute. I like that too.
I wonder if I'm the one with the red hair. I don't know. I like that cup.
I like it too.
Anyway, and so the question being, okay, Ibrutus, do you need to get much involved? Of course you will. You always do. I know. Here you are. Okay. Don't be shy. Of course not. I'm never shy. Okay, there we go. We're on a roll. It's improper to be improper. So in other words, being improperly connected to anyone, whether it be your own person in charge or whether it be someone that is around just them and their family members, is not proper. You can go and make yourself known to help, but you cannot involve yourself in such a level where their need for you is greater than what it should be.
The one thing I love and hate about guides is the answers are so simply perfect. It's a very human thing. I'm guilty of it, to want to like wax poetic. He's like, it's improper to be improper. Like that's just is.
Yeah. It keeps it very well known. That way there's no one can misconstrue what the message is.
Is there a frustration when you're acting as a gatekeeper with particularly aggressive past loved ones whenever Terri's trying to work, we're trying to work? What is there a guard dog version of you we don't see as she's channeling to get the message? Are you over here roughing up spirit to make sure they stay in line?
Such a good question to be asking. Yes, indeed, there's a good example to be given of that, and I'm going to share with you this experience that I had to get a bit more into character for her. Well, she was working this event, that the place with all the many tables. I don't know what they call it, but there's 4 people, and I care to see at one time. But there she is, and she just was sitting there, and there was someone, in spirit. I see them clearly. She sees them fairly well, and this person was coming a little bit too close to her, and I thought, now you can be chummy if you wish, but if you get too close, I'm going to have to ask you to step back just a little so that she's not so overwhelmed by you. And so, yes, indeed, this loved one, this family member, he was in what she refers to. I just call it this. It's all the same to me, but in her way, it's the astral, and he was in the astral, and he was just a dad with a longingness to get a big hug. Let's put it from that perspective. And so a little grab and feel, perhaps, maybe even, but he got too close to her. And I had to put the kibosh to that. I didn't appreciate that. And I said, you step back, you don't get this close. And I realized that for that moment, I had another job.
That's funny. Mel Gibson, The Bodyguard, right? Or no, is that not Mel Gibson? I don't know who that is. But
I don't know.
I think it was. No. Anyways, Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner.
And Ibrutus, step back just for a second so I could say this. Okay. And so what's funny about that, and I had thought about that a long time, is that this energy kept getting kind of like, can I have a hug? Can I have a hug? And I did tell the client, I said, your father wants to give me a hug. She goes, oh God, here we go again. She said, my father was a skirt chaser. Ugh. He was after every woman. It didn't matter if they were married, single, older, or young. That was his MO. That's why he divorced. That's why they were divorced. Her mother. And so this guy he was like, I could feel it. I'm like, and sometimes I do, sometimes I'd give a hug to the spirit too, because, hey, I see him. I'm going to, I treat him with respect, but I remember feeling like this almost like this feeling like being pushed forward and back. And I'm like, what is this?
Oh man.
And later I said, what happened there? Because why did I feel like I was being pushed back and pushed like away? And he said, that was me.
Oh, wow. Yes.
And I thought, well, that's the first time I'd ever really experienced that, as far as on that particular type of level. And so I felt that was interesting. And again, because we work well as a team, I also want to say to people, and this is where everyone gets tripped up. Be patient. Is that your guides are working for you? Okay. You can't really do much for your guides other than appreciate them. Okay?
Dang, that's yeah.
They work for you. So if I didn't appreciate that, I have to tell Ibrutus, so do that again, right? Because I'm in a human body, I'm in a free will state of mind. It didn't bother me. I'm like, you do whatever you need to do. I'm perfectly on board. But they do work for us. They don't need any favors from us. They just need to know how to help us. Mm-hmm. There's no ego base of that. He was just doing his job, however his job was for him. And
go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead, because he's coming back in. I can feel he's like, my turn.
Well, I was going to ask, whether or not he's has a knowingness about this movie. But there is a movie, I can't remember the name of it, but it's about the emotions. and the movie is presented as though each emotion is an individual sitting behind the mind state of a child. It's very metaphysical, frankly. But they would jostle at the admin table to try and help solve her problem. So they'd be like, well, no, just make her happy, make her laugh. So the laughter character would go get her hands on the steering wheel. But then the deep thinker would try to jerk the steering wheel and be like, no, she needs to think about this more. And then there was anxiety over there, kind of freaking out, trying to touch everything. It was like, keep her away. Is there ever kind of that mingling of, and again, I recognize it's not a dire thing necessarily, because I'm sure at that point everyone's hands on at the same time in synchronicity. But is there ever kind of like, I wish Ibrutus had handled that differently with her, or I wish that, is there opinions between the guides that he
Oh,
kind of is like, I don't
absolutely.
care, I'm the gatekeeper?
Well, what's curious is every now and then Ibrutus will say something, and I have made it very clear to everyone that if I hear it, I say it point
Mm-hmm.
blank. And I always make it very clear to my team that it better be out of love. It may be weird, but it's got to be out of love, because if it's coming out of my voice box and I'm the human involved in this, then it has to be kind, period.
I love
And
that.
some of the things could be so bizarre that I've said that ended up working all right. But there's been times where I'm like, could we avoided that? Like, did we really need to talk about that?
That's an excellent point.
I had a client the other day, and I just kept saying, she's getting herself ill. She's getting herself ill. She's not clearing out her bladder. Tell her to stay put and clear out her bladder. It's like, seriously? And I went, well, here we go.
Yeah, I guess we're on to it.
We're on, and I said it. And she'd actually been getting up a half a dozen times a night to pee.
Okay, well, and you taught me this, and again, in my world, we've spoken about this before, but I don't hear the guides in the same way. If I really want to understand them on a word for word basis, I typically have to automatic write. So I have this big whiteboard, and it works out for me. But I don't have a lot of ongoing dialogue until I ask for it in that more physical way. But what's kind of a funny thought about that is, you taught me very early on in the training, just say it. Doesn't matter. Just say it. Have faith. As long, like you said, I forgot this part of the training, but I remember this vividly. You were saying it has to be kind. Like, we're the ones responsible for what's said, not them. Like,
Yes.
we have to do this right way. But when I was younger at this, I would get really embarrassed and like really nervous, because I just felt like my guides kept taking me to the jugular when people would sit down and they'd be like, well, I don't know. And then it'd be like, all right, well, then we're going to talk about your mom. And then there's tears. And so I wondered back then, but now as I've gotten a little bit older with it, my guides are allowing me to have more knowledge of the message, because I've proven, I guess, over time that I can be trusted with that information.
Right.
Because
yes.
back then, I didn't get anything other than exactly what I was supposed to say.
Right.
And now I get more like, well, on her timeline much later, they're going to split up anyway, but she's not going to leave. I get more of the understanding, so I can parse through a little bit.
Yes.
I don't know how to say that. It's like I have more leeway, but less, or I don't know, but it just seems to work.
No, and it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, because you're getting more direct information for the client. Now, not every client is going to tell you what they need, right?
No.
I mean, that woman didn't intend to tell me that she got up to pee 6 times a night, right? And so what I gave her for information was either duly noted or I did embarrass her. She was like, that might be it.
Wow.
So it did help her. I'm also finding something, and this is on the same lines. And Ibrutus, you've been doing this a lot to me lately, and I appreciate it. But I asked him why he was doing this. Perfect example. I had a client recently, and Ibrutus was getting very into it, just very straightforward about all the details of anything and everything about her.
Ooh.
And I could see him in my mind's eye, because again, I do step out a lot when I'm working. It's either the Terri ADHD in me, or it's the metaphysical side of me that's like, I'll go play in the flowers over here.
Right.
You handle this, and I'll be there. But I could visually see Ibrutus walking around a vehicle, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be on the side of me. And he said, no, I'm not gone. You know I'm still here. Just a minute. I'm looking at something. Okay. So the next thing out of my mouth, which is from him, because I hear it, I say it, is, oh, don't forget, you need to go to Home Goods on your way home. To the client.
That's so
and the
funny.
client looked at me. I said, and maybe this time you get some colorful pillows.
For validation.
And she had a bag of 2 pillows in her car that were not the pretty colors she wanted. And she was taking them back. But they were in her back seat, and she had forgotten that she was going to take them.
Oh, wow. Well, okay. So yesterday, I love that sometimes we can just talk shop. You're the only person I can do this with in my life.
I love it.
On Saturday, I had a client, and I'm just talking, right? And I love Taylor Swift. I'm a huge Swiftie. I don't care. I just unabashedly. But there's a lyric, and it goes something like, "I'm queen of sandcastles you destroy." So I'm talking to this woman, and that lyric just plays, and I take everything as though it's supposed to go into a metaphor. Typically, my guides know I work well with that.
Yep.
It's very literary for me.
Sure.
So that just works its way into my vernacular somehow. And I can't remember what I said. And then that was a key thing for her in the reading as far as validation. I can't remember why. It was either she had just been talking about something, and I'd hit 3 other tokens that like I would call them tokens because they had no greater meaning in the message.
Right.
But I started hearing that song, and again, that's why I teach like my students. We always, it's like, you must not assume you have any deep understanding of the message.
That's right.
Or why it is there or what it's meant. Yes. And I always use the apple in a bathtub because I always say, you can put bubble baths, you can light some candles, and you can say, all right, give me some messages that I'm in water. And then the best you can get is an apple. Yeah. And then you're like, well, is it an apple day? Is it doctor away? Am I sick? And then you start booking appointments to a doctor. Or you have a Mac laptop that's an Apple, and you're like, oh my God, is something wrong with my app? And before you know it, you're buying a new laptop. And the guides are like, we were trying to remind you of your friend Sally, who just brought up apples at dinner. If you didn't remember, y'all talked about it for an hour. We thought you'd get that one.
Yes, or you just said a few minutes ago you wanted to buy some apples and hadn't yet. So hello,
and it's not so deep all the time.
It's not so deep, and that's the thing. It's and I love this about what I do, and I say this when I get those kind of messages. I said, Ibrutus is a bit like a mother hen. Most of my guides are like mother hens.
I love that.
They want you to succeed. They want you to have a better day than perhaps you may have had yesterday. And if it's the little nuances of change that will bring that to you, then let's do that. And I will tell you, nobody is going to have an earth-shattering experience if you remind them they didn't put their cereal bowl away this morning. But the bottom line is, what it is it's to confirm that your guides are aware.
Yes.
And that's really, truly what this is about. This is a team of helping hands.
And they don't have to.
That's right.
I always feel that.
Together. Right. And, when my guide can say something like, oh, don't forget to go buy Home Goods on your way home. Okay, I'll tell her.
And it's almost a validation of the nuance, kind of how Ibrutus opened the messaging, which was like, every single one of you is so important. And it's kind of like, for them to notate something so, tedious on some level is almost an acknowledgement of, that's important too. Like, this life, we're just doing it.
And that's exactly it. You nailed it. That's right. It's important too. And when we do this, and I know you're again, this is not, I'm a lot older than you are. Obviously, you can tell, right? But I have so far gone past the need to defend what we do. Mm-hmm. So when people say, well, I don't believe in any of this stuff, and I just think, well, that's a shame. It doesn't move me the same way.
No.
And what's curious to me is sometimes, the ego gets in. I've had clients that have been like, I don't believe in any of this. My sister made me come. Oh, really? Well, here, let's have at it. And I'm like, Brutus, give it everything you got. And I've done that.
I love that you said that out loud, because not often. I love that you say that.
That's ego.
I know, and I know.
And so what also can happen, which has happened to me, is nothing comes. Brutus is like, got nothing. And I'm like, I know better than that. And they're like, no, this person isn't ready for it because they're not stepping out of their thoughts.
Yes.
I can't be the catalyst to give them a new belief system if it's not my job.
Oh,
You see?
yes.
And there's times I've just looked at people and I'm thinking, man, he keeps clearing my brain. And so maybe for you, it's right. Maybe you don't need to believe in any of this. Maybe for you right now, you shouldn't believe in any of this.
Very well. And you know that I probably kind of recently cleared a lot of the ego that disallowed me to sink into this as much. And we've had a podcast for a year. So for this, I still was kind of, you just feel a little one in, one out because of the anxiety around all the allegations that we already know are present. And I'm sure, but I do think, especially with the guides, it's kind of, I mean, to me, at some point, it got disrespectful.
Yes.
Because I just thought, all right, either I believe in this and I'm willing to teach on it and speak on it and live on it, or I'm not. And yesterday, my old boss came to see me at my other job. I'd been begging him for him and his wife.
Ah, very nice.
I'd lit his friend up because of the allegations that you and I were in a cult. You don't even know who she is. Like, that's how disjointed these people are from us. And he didn't bring it up. I don't even know if he's aware of it. I'm pretty sure he is. But it was this, he asked me, which is such a unique question. But again, you know, he's older than me, but we have very sibling energy. And he says, so what is your main source of income? Because I work 2 days over there, you know, and I said, well, I teach. And then we have the podcast. Like, I just, you know, I was like, this is what I do.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Like, you know, one time he said to me in text, he said, you're the most interesting woman that's ever lived. And he meant it 60% nice, 40% not.
Right. He was covering his bases, right? So the people that didn't like what you did, he could side with them. And the people that did like what you did, he could side with them.
But what I felt from him, and the reason why he makes efforts and I make efforts towards him, is because at the end of the day, whether I'm weirder than you could ever imagine and stranger than you could ever know, when we get together, we make each other laugh and we make each other feel like we can do life well and we put each other up.
Yes.
And regardless of if you think I'm absolutely insane, till I die, that's when I'm going to try to do the most.
Yes.
I'm not going to always win.
Well, none of us are. And again, we don't become superhuman just because we do this, okay? We still have the same rules as humans, okay? We are that, okay?
Do you think in the situation where, for instance, with my main guide, and again, I should probably do more work to work closer with him, and that's something I need to work with. With that said, he is a very parental energy to me, and Ibrutus is a very sibling energy. And I'm very, very curious what that dynamic feels like for whenever he, like, as we speak here in the physical world, and then we're probably don't really need a lot of guide. We're just living our life.
Yes.
How frequently is there information exchange or just cordial communication within guide senses, or is it just not really done?
Okay, so if I'm understanding, Ibrutus, did you get that? Okay.
Sorry, I said that weird.
No. In other words, because what you've said, and
like
he just like tapped me on the shoulder like siblings. They come to us as how we need them, and that relationship may change as well. So when you're in a situation where your guide is more parental and giving you more fatherly advice, then that's what you need at the moment that you need it. You know, I'm not saying that I've worked through all my daddy issues or haven't or have, and I don't know. I don't really even care. But I do know that the relationship is very just kind of more robust as siblings would be.
Well, if he were to
change.
If he were to engage with my guide, the age would be irrelevant in between them. So he would not be parental with Ibrutus. They would be almost just like two male energies. There would be no dynamic of hierarchy or age.
No.
That's so cool. I was so curious.
The way things are defined is an earthbound definition.
Mm-hmm.
Recognizing that in the spirit world, we don't have any, we're not like, oh, look at you need to go get a haircut. Or, oh, look at you, why are you so short? Or, oh, look at you, get your feathers out of my face because your head is full of feathers.
That's so funny.
What are you referring to? Okay,
my guide is, is he talking? Yeah, yep. Because of his, well, what I said
that's funny.
That's very funny. Yeah. What's hilarious about that is, well, what they're both very tethered to their culture in a way that some guides aren't.
And that's true. Some guides are not. And you know, the bottom line is, if I'm going to work with someone, I want to know more about them. I want to know who and what they look like. Give me a definition. And if he turns into, you know, Clarence from, you know, the show that
A
was
Wonderful
trying
Life,
to get his angel wings. Yes, I don't care. But I want to know who I'm dealing with. I want to know more of what I'm dealing with. And you know, the fact of the matter is,
he said your face is full of feathers.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Listen, Ibrutus about to get canceled. This is 2025. We don't even call it Redskins anymore.
He said, "Oh, if we tussle is just for fun, you know that."
I love both warrior class energies too.
Well, and that's exactly right. You know, I want to say something briefly because this is it's bothered me that someone referred to what you do and what I do as a cult. I just want to clarify, just for the audience, if there's any doubt, I'm going to give you an easy way of knowing if it's a cult or not a cult. If you are in an environment with others and your opinion is less than important, if you're in an environment where there's only one directive, if you're in an environment where there is a rule book and the rule book says you follow my way or no way, you're in a cult. If you go in and people are like-minded and you hear things you don't agree with it. Be fine. Go test it. Go check it out. Go figure it out. Go find it. Do whatever you want to do. But if you're going to use the word cult, know the definition of cult. Cult is complete and utter control. And that control means simply, it is my way, no other way works. And you'll never hear that from me in any of my classes. That's the one thing I always say. I am not the authority. I have a voice just like you. I may know a little more about a subject just because I've been doing it for umpteen years. We are not a cult. And if you thought that, go back to Webster's dictionary.
Well, also, cults like meet up, and no one can get us to meet up anywhere. Everyone's always trying to get us to get out, and we are the worst cult ever, apparently.
Well, we must be.
We have no members, and we don't know what the charter is. We're just trying our best to make it through and make our bills, okay?
Oh my gosh, I've seen enough cults to know what a cult is.
Well, and I guess that would be a curiosity within, do guides ever, like, say you got, let's just play with the thought.
Okay.
I'm a cult leader. I've got my guides.
Okay.
And you are a culty prospect. I don't know what you call it. Like, what do you call it? So we're chumming up, and I'm love bombing you, and I'm trying to get you to join our cult congregation. And I said, there's Kool-Aid right here. We got those Nike shoes they don't make anymore. Did you hear about that?
No.
Oh, okay. So everyone who drank the Kool-Aid or whatever, that there was a bunch of footage. This is a bad, terrible PR.
Oh my gosh.
In the cult, I guess they were all just getting the same shoes shipped to them. So like, because you know, it wasn't, you know, I don't know. And so then all of this news footage, bless their hearts, and I'm sorry this happened, but bad judge of character. And they all drank what they did, and they died. And so it was just bodies with all of these same shoes from Nike. So they discontinued it. I'm sorry, it's not funny.
Oh
but
my gosh.
Anyway, back to the question for the guide. So, you know, at what is there ever discussion as I'm trying to convince you into something that's probably dark, that's probably against your free will? Or would Ibrutus be more attuning to you? Or is there ever anything of like, leave her alone? Like, would there ever be aggression towards me as I'm sitting there powing up with you saying, oh my gosh, I can be the best friend you've never had. And I know you had a bad childhood, all the things that they say to like get you.
If you were presenting that to me with Ibrutus being my guide,
yes,
he would push that back. He would open my eyes to it.
clarity.
And there are a lot of similarities, and that's a good point, because what you said is exactly what cult leaders do. Is they woo you. They let you know that you're special. They let you know that they can teach you, but it may have to be kind of either a secret for a while, or don't tell anyone I'm working with you, or you'll know what I mean, and let me share something. I'm really someone special. I'm a king. I'm a queen. I'm a god. I'm a goddess. Don't tell anybody. I just found out. Um, I'm gonna give you a message. It's not from me. So when you hear it, take it to heart. Those are cultish behaviors.
The one I hate the most is, oh my gosh, my guides told me that you're my sister. It's not even cultish. Like, these aren't even cult leaders. Like, this is just cajoling, manipulative behavior under the guise of metaphysics.
Yes. Well, it is outside of you're right, of the guidance of metaphysics, because we are not there. We may say, oh my gosh, I do love all my clients. Some of you annoy me, just so you know. If you want to know which ones, call me. But no, don't call me.
Don't call me. I was going to say, no.
You already do. No, just kidding.
Exactly.
But no, that's funny. Your guards are going to give you a heads up. If you're working diligently with your team is not going to allow you to get caught into something that's not good. Okay? They're not going to let you get free will. Now, we have free will. If I say to Ibrutus, no, I think I'm feeling a bit cultish, I'll go ahead and do this. Then Ibrutus will be going, okay, I'm here for the ride. Let's go. Golly.
He just starts sewing his outfit for the cult. He's like, I guess we're going to the meeting.
Exactly. It's like, well, if you say we got to go, let's make it go. We have a responsibility doing what we do. You do no harm. And do no harm means exactly that. Don't twist someone's brain up in such a way that they feel you're the only answer. And I'll tell you, there are plenty of people that I admire, and there's plenty of people I don't admire in doing what we do. And, I'm not going to sit there and, if you ask me to refer you, that's a touchy subject, because I really don't like doing that. I don't, because what's good for you may not be good for me, and vice versa. But a cult leader is never going to refer you to anybody, because a cult wants you for themselves. You're like chocolate. You're like, they want to gobble you up and keep you in the room. And you bring in another follower, and then they bring in another follower. And then all of a sudden you get the message that other people won't understand your decisions. So you can't tell anybody else unless they're part of the group.
Well, and it's also a very good way. I don't know how we got off on cults. Sorry, Ibrutus, but we're on this, and it's important. But it's like,
Ibrutus is like just going, okay, here we go.
ADD. I'm sorry, you have you had two gal pals that have ADD. I'm sorry, Ibrutus.
I love it.
I'm sorry, but so then in the circumstance where it's a really good way if you dislike somebody, to make sure that nobody else feels comfortable around you.
Yes.
So it's also on the other side of it, it's almost kind of the opposite of cult. Like, cult is used to just divide. It is just pure separation, in the nature of it. And there was an individual who didn't defend you. And I thought the nuts part of this was the phrase that was said was, well, I'm just not as close to her as you. And I thought, 2 Thanksgivings, 2 Easters, 2 Christmases, ate food at her table. But okay. You know what I mean? Like, that's insane to me. But it was the anxiety of other people making that allegation about us, and her inability to really rock with what that would mean, to be uncomfortable by saying, well, they're good people, which I think it's known that we are. But when you get a group of people, again, either you're in the cult or you're out the cult, but no matter what, you better be on the side of whoever you're talking to.
That's exactly right.
And I think that's very interesting.
Right. It is very interesting.
I just heard the song, the stupid song, Words of Wisdom, Let It Be. I know I should let it be. It's just irritating, and I'm still hot about it. I'm sorry.
Well, it's funny, because I heard a song too, and I don't even know who sings it, because I couldn't tell you that. I just don't know that anyway. But it's "No One Gonna Break My Stride, No One Gonna Slow Me Down."
Why are we? We are insane. Like, yeah, I literally was like, "Why this is not the time." That's
funny. Wants to know he keeps going. You have questions written down.
I do. I'm sorry. Okay, let's do this.
He wants to know how he can answer them.
Yes. Okay. I only have a few. I asked the first one. Okay. So one of the things that you shared was the idea of sometimes guides can just be put to the side. and
Yes.
start putting baby in a corner.
It's-
But in certain circumstances where is there any desire or need for like a vacation or a break or is there more of a they're answering for me and that's bothering me because I can't get to you first.
Ibrutus, talk to Mr. Feathers.
Thank you. Thank you. He's like Mr. Feathers. Yeah, so but like
They're already friendly to each other. You do know that, right?
it would make sense. I guess they've known each other for a while. Well, I guess that'd be a funny question. What is there a nervousness when Ibrutus you have students, you've had students for a long time. Does he ever look and say, this guide group is not like the powwow that later behind closed doors, like, I like her as a student, but what these guides are they're not going to fit our vibe.
Yes and no. Okay, answer that. Just the way you want to. I don't care. Okay, that's funny. No, more than anything, you get accustomed to whomever is with you when you're working with anyone's guides. It's not just her guides are odd. These guides are strange. It's not that. Doesn't really matter. What we recognize is just like you do in the human form. There's some that seem a little bit more difficult to be around, but that doesn't mean that we're unable to work with them. I mean, there's no reason why we can't share information if it's to help the people we're with. Does that mean that I love everybody? Well, supposedly according to what we're told to tell you all, yes, of course, I love them all. But maybe what I should say is that there's some times where there's an indifference. It makes no difference to me. If I've got to work with someone, I'm not going ahead to judge them and figure out what it is I do not like or what I do like.
That's so human.
And
do you have an awareness of Enoch? Oh, I'm sorry.
I have no choice but to have an awareness of Enoch. Perhaps maybe that's why I'm always touching my roof.
That's funny. I know why he just said that.
You do? So I don't know. Do you know what that means?
Because Enoch was the one who warned everybody about the cataclysms as they came. So he's making a joke about that the world keeps getting destroyed and he keeps having to thatch his roof.
And see, I had no idea. Isn't
that
so
funny?
See, that's what I love about our work.
I do too.
That's what I love about our work.
I almost feel high. That's so funny.
Because I say what I hear and I hear what I say and I let him talk. And so I did not know that.
Yeah, that's so funny. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. She is a good looker. She's also not going to be someone you flirt with. Thank you. Okay. Good. Okay, we're understanding each other.
Well, I want Ibrutus to know, I mean, there's so much magic and adoration for his class of spirit, for the things that guides do, for the things that they do for us. And I think it's probably an incredibly thankless job, more often than not. But yet, y'all do it, and you stay with us through all of our isms. And I think that's beautiful, so thank you.
I know. He goes, I like her. I'm going to work with her next.
No. No, listen.
But he does have a message, and it's actually different than what I would have done. You sure? Okay, you do what you got to do. I'm perfectly fine. Okay. Well, okay, that makes sense. Sure they are. Okay. I know. I talked to myself.
No, you're perfect. I'm with you.
It's curious. He's proving a very valid point. And it's what you had to say about going on vacation. He said, just a little bit to think about. Say, for instance, you are a very, very strong believer in your faith, and you see the faith, and you recognize that this is what I truly am and truly believe in, and you are going to follow the commandments. You're going to follow the God's words of this particular part of your existence. This is going to be your God. Do you know that God speaks to many other people as well? You've got someone else with you. It's my philosopher. Oh my gosh. This is very interesting. He's talking to some. I know it sounds like a nut, but
no,
But that, okay, that's why you got, okay, I'm good. Now I'm getting a little nervous with you. Okay, thank you. So go ahead, go back into it. Both talking. No, okay, thank you. So what I'm driving at is, if you believe this God of yours is with you, and he's the God of yours is in your heart, he's in your soul, he's in your spirit, everything you do is about your faith. And you are trying to explain it. God is with you always, correct? Just like she says, meaning the one in the chair that's speaking with me. You're usually speaking over me, but we do play. I'm sorry.
I love
We
that
have
though.
a wonderful relationship. Go ahead. I interrupted. No, it's you cannot teach this, because people take this out of context. So you have to take it in a way that others can get it, and if they can't absorb it, then they just forget it. But if you believe that, well, are you saying that nobody else can have this wonderful God of yours? If this God is with you in your heart and in your day and in your soul 24/7, does that mean no one can share this God? So think about what you said about the vacation. Now, I know that when you are dealing with some of these youngsters, and youngsters are not, I'm not putting down anything about ages, I'm just saying where they are out at in their growth. If you are telling them that your guides will never leave you, which is true, they will believe that they need to know that their guide is with them always. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But is that too hard to fathom, that we also can step away and I can go thatch my roof while I am also in communication?
No, I think that's very possible. Yeah.
So we tell and we train and we talk about, yes, your guides will step out of the room. Yes, because for training purposes, we'll have to illustrate so you understand where we are. We'll step away and then we come back, and the next order of business is that, oh, we'll never leave you. Well, we don't. The essence of us will always stay. But occasionally there are times where we're physically not there.
In those circumstances where you're physically not there, do you in a human way get to kind of get up to your own devices?
One would think that to be the case, but that is not necessarily
No?
true.
Okay. You're like, I
No,
already lived the life.
no, we're not. This is not a holiday for you. This is a holiday for us.
Yes. Fair. That's so amazing and so wonderful.
But do you see, it's harder for someone to fathom if you say, oh, they come and go at will, and then tell them then again, well, no, they're always with you. Well, how can you be both? Well, we can be both.
Well, right. Well, I mean, isn't it kind of like there was this thing I read about a long time ago where an oversoul can split into it will split into young children to help people clear karma, so that a young child doesn't have to be removed from the playing board for this to come out. And so that was kind of the first where I understood. Just you teach me this. You taught me this a long time too. Of like, we can be in our body right now, and then part of us might be with our grandma. Like part of us might be, because maybe she's in the middle of dying and we don't know it, but that day is very reserved because most of our energy is over there.
It's hard for people to believe that they likely could be just like spirit if it wasn't for the physicality of their body being there. We are spirit.
Oh yeah,
We're
first.
just contained. We're kind of like that firefly in the jar.
Well, I wondered if this was disrespectful, and I get but I taught, and I do teach this still, and I probably will continue because I think it's the right idea. But I say basically, when we meditate to find our guides, and when we call for them and ask for them to make themselves known, there has to be an understanding that they're taking human form for us. Like that there's an understanding that they're not always just Ibrutus in a kilt presenting. It's like it's for our benefit. So I was like, so think about just a song or swirling energy, and you're asking it to come sit down with you. You should honor that. They don't have to do that. They're not normally in that state. So it isn't just go sit here and like prove to me you're real. I say like, let's honor the fact that they've got to come into a form for us.
Right.
Because they don't need to do that.
No. They do that for us. Well,
and I think people.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No.
Can you imagine if as a young child of Ibrutus, this man just walked into my bedroom in a kilt with all my weird experiences?
Yeah.
I probably would have been scared of him. I'd have thought, oh my God, the boogeyman's here. So they do come to us as we need them, and how they authentically come to us.
And last question, and I'll let Ibrutus go. Does he have an opinion of the wolves? Does he like them?
They kill chickens.
Oh, goodness.
We
don't like chickens. I'm just kidding.
Kill the chickens, but they don't do any damage. They don't bother me. They don't bother anyone, really. They're just there because they've followed her for many, many times. And I'm perfectly fine with the wolves. I don't have
many times, huh?
No crossways with them at all. They are not they are not puppies. No, they are not puppies. But they have a job to do, and they do their job, and they let me do my job.
With them, there's kind of an archetype. I'm sure you're aware with the archetype of the two wolves underneath. Oh God, I'm going to mess this up. I'm so sorry. The Nordic god.
Yes.
Odin. So I was just curious from this earth angel energy that then we could kind of translate with Valkyric energy. And then you do have these ancient two wolves. It's just a thought. I don't know.
Oh, perhaps it's something to think about, huh? Don't think too deeply. Then you start asking me questions that I'm unwilling to answer.
Right. I know. I know. I'm sorry. I get so excitable. Thank you so much, Terri. Thank you so much, Ibrutus. Thank you so much for the physician and the philosopher and the.
Thank you for coming in. That was very interesting.
And thank you, Enoch. Like, that was so funny. I mean, that's very validating for me also too, for other reasons.
So wild. I had no earthly idea what that meant. So that's very curious. But that's why such use.
Well, to honor Enoch, because again, he's part of this pie too with you.
Yes.
He is Hermes Trismegistus. He is Thoth. He is. Is it Teotihuacan is named? I mean, this gentleman has been around. He's been doing some stuff, and a lot of service, a lot of aid. So that's really beautiful. So thank you too for a lot of that as well.
I'm very grateful for all that I have.
No, and thank you for sharing it, because you could have said yes by the bread stand, and you didn't.
No, I did not.
So, I love you. I hope
I love you as well.
I think that this is what we do is incredible. What you do is incredible. What you've taught me how to do is incredible. The guides are amazing. This has been a celebratory episode. Minus the cults. That's just I have a bone to pick about cults now.
Oh,
but other than that, celebration.
The people that don't understand will be quick to judge.
Yeah.
And that's all that is. That's just a wounded soul judging. That's all.
No, that's so true. And I'm very grateful that there would have been a period of time where that could have made me pull back. But that was a long time ago, because I love this work.
I love this work too.
I just heard goosebumps, and I love editing it. I love playing us back. I love knowing that one day I feel it. A lot of the rawness to our podcast. I think that as it polishes later in the future, there's something about these first episodes that are, I think, just really human. Like, there's no way that you could watch any of these and not know who we are. Like on a pretty quintessential level. Like, we don't change. You don't put on a mask. I don't think I put on. If anything, I just kind of interrupt you too much and get anxious.
Put on makeup half the time.
And same with me. I was editing something the other day. I was like, well, I guess I just didn't try it all that day. Like, it was rough. Yeah. But we're not there for that. And I remember the first time I did this without makeup. That it's like we did this for the right reason, and we still are. And I love that for us.
I love it too, and I love it for everyone. Always lead with love, people. Wisdom can always come second.
Love first, wisdom second. That's going to be on our, by the way, I'm working on a sweatshirt. It's going to be cute.
Ooh, I can't wait.
And it's going to say love first, wisdom second, Terri Groom.
So you wait, because those are like the Nike sneakers.
I know. No, maybe, you know how everybody has that villain arc that they flesh out? Yes. What if now I'm just so hell-bent on being successful enough that we get a Nike deal so we can have our own cult shoe?
There we go. Oh, you need cult shoes. I like that idea. Yes. I'd like to get a cult umbrella and maybe
Yeah.
some matching gloves and some galoshes. So
We're
when
gonna
it rains down on us from the heavens that we are
we're
doing
gonna have
something
a feathered
wrong.
headdress for you, and then some
Oh,
kilts over
yes.
here,
Oh my
and those are
gosh.
our 2 uniforms
I love that. I
to
love
honor.
that. We could do that. Oh my gosh. Yes, and we can have cookies and Kool-Aid. I like that.
I think we could throw a great cult.
Okay. We can. Let's do it. Let's. And the color of the day
Between
is
us and what
blue.
time?
Everybody just blue. Okay, nobody wear anything but blue.
Yeah, remember that? Oh my God, and then I'll let you go, I promise, because we've got literally, do you remember the one day we were talking about cults, right? We had 2 episodes about it. We must have known this was coming. But anyways, and literally, I'm so gullible with you because I love you so much and I trust you till I die. And you were
Oh.
making fun of people who speak about these cults, and you're like, avoid all streets that start with W.
Oh no.
And I remember saying, why? And you said, I'm just kidding. And I didn't cut it out. I was like, why am I this way? I would be the one who'd be in a cult.
No, sweetie, you're supposed to be the leader, not the follower on this.
I know.
You're the cult leader.
Girl, no, the allegation was we were in some cult with an undefined leader. And I'm like, you think either of
Oh.
us would follow someone else? Like, we're
Yeah,
so stubborn about our lives and we're so headstrong.
Oh
A.
my gosh.
B, we take over the cult. But anyways.
I know. We changed the flavor of the Kool-Aid in a heartbeat.
Yeah. And it would just be fun. If we have a cult, it's just fun. And you can't be crazy negative and you can't blame everyone else. And we can just kind of be there and try our best.
I know. We'll make a song about it too. We'll put some real good emotions out there.
Yes. I'm here for it. We have a new agenda. Screw the V to the third.
I love the V to the third. I can't wait.
I do too. And that will more details coming soon. With that, we're working on something really fun, really beautiful. Bring your Nikes. I'm just kidding. But it is something that we are focusing more a little bit on some structured education.
Yep.
That will kind of be, we kind of get on here and we are both, she's my mom, she's my mentor. We are living challenging lives in general. So sometimes we start with the intention of this being educational. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just us living our life and archiving it.
Yep.
So we will be doing more focused events, both out and about as well as just in online.
Yes,
but we look so forward to speaking about that in the future.
It's exciting stuff.
Yes.
Stay tuned. We got more to say. If you've got a comment, please make it positive. If not, don't. No, just kidding.
And if you have any questions, let us know. Also, if you feel like maybe there's some topic that we have spoken about that you have some education around and some opinions, please write us. We are more than willing to have conversations with people, especially as we move into the new chapter and the new progression of what we do here. So it's just going to be, we just have a lot of fun stuff working.
Yep, we really do. And we're excited about it.
Yes.
So you all have a wonderful day, right? It's a perfect day to have a great
It was a perfect day. I love you. I love you. I love you. I will see you next week.